And we should be ready to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Joshua Files podcast. It's been a great pleasure to have each and every one of you to take an interest of listen to the video or listen to the podcast. I am glad that you're here to listen to another session on episode number 6 or 7. I can't remember now. I should actually remember, but I can't. I am here with Mrs. Sam Yates, from one part of the Ingested Guitarists. Sam is a very, very nice guy, and I have known him for quite a while, along with the other Ingested boys. Sam, how are you doing today, man?
Very good, thank you.
Good.
Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. It's been
Awesome.
quite a manic situation that we're all living in, and it's getting a little bit hard, especially for some people who work under like key workers situation. You know, we all have to work hard and have to survive and actually go and pay for our low cash wages, you know, and it's just a nightmare sometimes for us. But yeah, it's not been too bad. Today's been quite productive, and I finished about 2 o'clock today, so it was great because I knew I had a session with you today, my friend, and you know that was.
You are a gentleman.
Yeah, I mean that was the best thing to have for this day. Work, I could just forget it, man. You know, I didn't want to remember it. As soon as I walk out the door, I thought, "Fuck it, don't want to remember it. It was too much," you know. But yeah. So, what's been going on with you lately? Considering, you know, I'm sure you're not working at the moment, and
Well, yeah, we were full-time touring, so we've not. But we're going to be the last, probably, to be re-engaged back into work. I probably think, and it's. I'm trying to keep on top of stuff because obviously there's a lot happening in our camp.
yeah.
Just before this all happened, so we're all just trying to keep on top of it, really, and just doing little bits of work here and there and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is just try to keep yourself occupied instead of just going crazy like a headless chicken sometimes. And, you know, it's a good thing to keep yourself occupied and keep yourself active or just busy much as possible when it comes to band-wise or just life-wise, you know. And that's always the main thing you need to do, especially with the situation we're in. And obviously our country's got the highest death rate toll compared to Europe, which to me, in my own opinion, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's a bit crazy. Maybe the numbers are not completely accurate, but I think it's still very, very frightening to think about how we left the EU and then all of a sudden now we've got the highest death roll in the country from the Europe countries at all. And funny enough, I spoke to a colleague of mine today. He's mentioned that Cyprus is banned the UK travels, point period, and the rest of the other European countries are allowed to go to Cyprus for holiday purposes. And I thought that was ridiculous, but it kind of makes sense why. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, to be honest.
I want things to go back to some level of normality as quickly, but also as safely as possible. But I just feel like, I don't know, we're a very tightly condensed, populated country. So I mean, it sort of makes unfortunate sense that we have one of the more higher death tolls throughout the world because we're just so densely populated, and London is the epicenter of the country, and it's by far probably the most condensed city in the world outside of maybe like Japan, maybe Tokyo or New York or something like that. Maybe, I mean, it's so tightly condensed that's just perfect for it to spread. And luckily, it doesn't seem to have affected the north quite as much. Although obviously, it's not. I'm not saying that it's like perfect, but it just seems to have really hit London hard, and it's a massive shame. It makes me wonder how many things do go on like that. like, you know, illnesses and stuff that we just don't report on that might be even more deadly or
Sure.
just not spread so quick. It is strange.
Yeah.
But I've had a test and it came back negative, so I'm
That's
happy
good.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good thing to, if people got test kit, definitely use them because they're not going to be worthless to take at all. There was a mutual friend that I know that has mentioned had a test kit, and she just said it was kind of pointless taking it. If everybody's got a test kit, definitely take them because you don't know if you got the actual condition or not. And if you
Yeah.
don't have it, it's actually worth taking it and just be sure. Because at the end of the day, if you have got it in a long run, you don't know how long it's been or the progress is going to be. And considering if you have got it, you should be staying inside instead of just going out like
Yeah.
so London folks have definitely done with the anti-rally of the fake virus rally. And I just think it was quite interesting how there was a big, massive group and the irony in it, each and every one of them could have got it. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
ridiculous.
I mean, it's why would you? It's just such a weird conspiracy theory for me
Oh, yeah,
to like, even fathom that. I mean, people have been warning about it for fucking years and years.
absolutely.
That so many countries are unprepared for something like this. So it just makes perfect sense.
Mm.
And
I
I
think,
understand the frustrations of people because everybody wants to get back to their normal lives.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I always say to the conversations I've had is when does this cure become the sickness? I understand that it's the mental health of it is nowhere near as detrimental as the physical
Mm.
health of it. But
Mm.
when when do we have to say, okay, we need to sort of return back to normality? Which I know that the measures are now becoming less and less strict, but um, I think it's probably best to roll them out slow, like they probably are going to do.
Yeah,
Unlike, I think that America will almost certainly jump the gun and probably lift a lot of restrictions too quickly and probably
mm.
end up having quite a big second wave of the virus,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But you know what he's like, the big orange man in the White House. So.
Big orange fake tan piece of shit that just wants to ruin America by any means necessary. And if I got any American fans that do listen to us, please just tell me that this is true because there's no way whatsoever you can support Trump over this because there are so many health risks that he's taking on. And funny enough, I've seen some news statements that he's just like blaming on China for no reason. And yes, China started it, but they actually got better. And now he's still putting the blame game on somebody for no reason. Um, it's just a bit weird, you know.
He doesn't really, he doesn't give a shit. He just wants to win another election. So he just wants to be in the media as much as possible because that's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Mm.
In a lot of the electoral, but a lot of politics around the world is a fucking big, fucking popularity contest, and
It is.
if the more you're in the fucking view of people, then that's all that matters. So he's just going to say anything at the moment that'll win him an election, or at least give him the coverage. So
Yep.
saying all these silly things like injecting yourself, injecting yourself with fucking
With bleach, basically. He said
yeah,
drink bleach and all that stuff. I thought that's a bit bizarre. And I wonder if many of the Trump supporters have actually started drinking bleach, you know.
I mean, it's just insane. It doesn't even bear thinking about. Imagine any other country that is run by a Z-list celebrity would just be like fucking laughed at for the rest of time.
Mm, definitely.
But oh well.
But I think the only one that's
Yeah.
would be a great, I think the only one that'd be a great president, as Jason mentioned it on the Fox and Hubs podcast, would be Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He'd be fucking decent.
Well, it was a joke that me and Jason made, saying that because it doesn't matter if you're a good politician or not, or it doesn't matter anything like that. It's just a popularity contest. That
It is.
essentially The Rock would win in every single circumstance. If he ran for presidency, he would win. He would win because it doesn't matter what party he runs for. It doesn't matter. He appeals to, but he's just so appealing and popular.
Mm.
And people would vote for him as a joke, but people would also vote for him seriously because he's just a popular figure in
He is
America.
a popular figure, definitely. And
And I think he would 100% win. And every single American I asked, bar maybe 3 people, all agreed with both me and Jason that the Rock would 100%, if he ran, would 100% win the presidency of the United States.
Yeah.
It would be even if he just did it just to prove a point, he would win.
Yeah.
By a long way.
Oh yeah, and especially if you have like a celebrity to win it, then any celebrity can win it, and it's just crazy how that can just be worked that way, as you just mentioned. And I wonder what would have happened if like a celebrity was actually going to be the next MP for the UK, and that was very interesting as well. But going back to your earlier statement about how not much of the North Country is getting hit by the fires, I think that's quite interesting. I have not really heard much about the North Country, like Manchester or London or maybe Scotland.
I wouldn't say it's not happening, but
no,
it
but
seems
it's not
to
like
be,
massive.
well, I think it's just because by numbers, really. It's like a population density of these areas, and obviously London's the big one. I heard that it started in the northeast of the country, but I mean, you don't even. What is news? You don't even know what fucking is real anymore.
No.
So I don't know.
Most of it's just like as we probably just mentioned, it's a fake statement sometimes, and not everything becomes accurate. So it's all about trying to dish out the latest news and try to get the quickest buck from the companies and from the people that do believe it, and that's all that matters nowadays.
Oh yeah, clicks will become currency one day.
It will, and hopefully my podcast becomes many clicks and I can get so much money out of it. But it will all depend on the situation.
Preparing for the future.
Oh, mate, I am definitely down for the future, even though the future does suck. But
yeah, there's gonna be 2 countries in the entire world, and it's gonna be Disney and Amazon.
Yeah, I want to Bill Gates will go try and get invade Disney or something and be like, oh, the Disney's gonna be the best thing in the world, with all of his money and.
Bill Gates gonna side with Amazon or Disney? You'd pick Amazon, I know he would.
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, the amount of money that comes out from both of those companies is just ridiculous. And I can't.
Eventually, they're just going to own all produce and all media.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be it.
Oh man, it's just like we just said, the future don't know what we hold, and it's just going to be scary at some point as well, because there was a latest conspiracies how people thought 5G can actually become the next coronavirus or whatever, which it was not true. I mean, for fuck's sake, I don't know why people thought it was so true, but
I mean, I'm saying these things and I'm joking. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People believe that 5G is gonna like melt the brains or whatever. It's just whatever. Like these things don't go through like the most rigorous testing procedures. Like
it's just ridiculous, But what's not ridiculous is the metal music scenery, and especially for Ingested, where you guys play in Manchester or anything. There's always a big popularity for Ingested. So, I am one of the Ingested fans. I'm not going to deny it. I've been a fan for you guys since probably the first album. And ever since then, I've listened to the whole discography, and been a fan for you guys ever since. And you guys have done something interesting, which was changing the element for the band and from music by music, album by album. And sure, there will be a lot of criticism from probably some of the older fans who are thinking why there's no suppressing 2, suppressing 3, etc., etc. Instead, you guys took a different diversity and variety with each album. I think it's been fantastic, and it is great for bands to experiment and to actually take a new path when it comes to music terms. So where did actually Ingested start? Because obviously there was going to be no Ingested without the 5 of you guys,
Well, 4 now, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate anybody who takes the time out to listen to our music and understands what we do and appreciates what we've put out. I think that when we were putting out Surpassing, we were young and hungry, and we had just all these influences, and we were just like, oh, and we'd come from like the underground brutal death metal scene where it was just like a handful of bands in the UK. We all become very good friends, and there was a label called Grind Ethic, and everyone Grind Ethic sort of curated all of these bands and put on all the shows in London, and we played a lot of shows in London around that time.
Absolutely.
But for us, we were just always like, personally, we were always like quite eclectic music fans in general, and we'd grown up like been like, me and Sean met. You may already know, we met just as friends, as neighbours, basically, and then we became interested in music at the same time. And then we started a band called Age of Suffering, which sort of didn't go anywhere. And then we met Lynn and changed everything up. And right when we met Lynn, we were all of us were really into like super brutal death metal. Like we were all listening to like Insidious Discrepancy and like all Viral Load, like all loads of very underground bands, and we were the sort of kids that were going out to shows and flicking through the CD that people would bring and just buying things because they look cool, or like just on recommendations, or we'd go to a gig and there'd be a band that we'd never heard of and before, and they would just be like, whoa,
yeah,
so great,
out your face and everything,
Yeah, so we got into the me and Sean and Jay were all from the same area, and we were always into like heavy music. We were always into like Sugar and Chimera, and we used to go to shows like that when we were younger, and then things got heavier and heavier, and then we became more like, I don't know, typical elitist young brutal death metal dudes. And then we all sort of like hit maybe like 20, and everyone around us was like starting to like do this thing where they were like calling out bands for not being true. I mean, it's happened forever, basically, that this shit happens. Obviously, it still happens now. And with social media being way more of a big thing, it happens even more.
It does,
so there was all this weird tension that we didn't really understand in the UK scene, where we were just getting like slated all the time for being too much this or not enough that, and we were just like, after a bit we were just like, why is this scene being so cruel to a band that puts in so much effort and work? And like, we were like, obviously we were young and we were just like, fuck it, fuck that, fuck, we'll do what we want. So then when we did Surpassing, we were all sort of like we'd gone past that sort of brutal death metal, enmity, like when it needs to be the most brutal toilet thing you can hear.
Oh, absolutely.
And we started getting, and deathcore started sort of getting popular. Then Whitechapel were like, and Waking a Cadaver were getting popular, and we were just like, also liked that as well. So we were just like both. And we were just like, oh, well, we've got all this old death metal stuff that we used to listen to, like Cannibal Corpse, Decapitated, Suffocation, all the classic death metal. We like all this brutal death metal that's come from that and is popular at the moment. And we also like this new thing that's coming through, this deathcore, where people are mixing death metal and hardcore, and we were all into like Hatebreed and hardcore and stuff like that anyway. We were just always quite eclectic, and then we put together Surpassing because we were just like, right, fuck it, we just want to do what we want. If we want to do like we want to do really slammy stuff, but we also want to put in like at least something that's not just repetitive and has structure and has form. And we were just young and hungry, and we wanted to do like Whitechapel meets Devourment. Like that was our
That would be cool.
mentality at the time.
Yeah.
We're just like, we need to marry these because there's so many crossover points, and we got fucking like we sold like enough records when it first came out, and then we're getting slated online all the time. Like people were also going like, oh, it's a great album and stuff like that, but then all the elitists were like literally, we were getting kicked in the ass every day on the forums. So we just built more and more resentment, and then that made us, if anything, want to be more and more further away from this scene that they thought they had this special little egg that no one else can see and no one else can enjoy, and you're not allowed to bring anything in and you're not allowed to take anything out, and yeah, we did Surreption. Albeit we did it quite fast. I think the turnaround was very quick, and we didn't really. It's hard. Everyone always, all the musicians know that it's difficult to do a second album. It's like very well known that it's a difficult second album. And I think it was the same for us, as we didn't really know where we wanted to go or what we wanted to do anymore. We had all these old ideas that we'd sort of put into Surpassing, this huge lot of ideas. And then we were starting fresh again, and we were like, oh, what are we going to do? And I still like the songs on it, but I just think that we made some choices that weren't ideal. So we never really, we toured it pretty well, but like we were just getting slated even more at that point. And then we were just like, we were disappointed with the way it turned out. So even though we liked the songs, we were just disappointed with everything about it, really, the package. And I would like to put it out again, maybe with a new mix, maybe some tweaks here and there, re-record some parts of it. And then, you know, we went back to the drawing board because we were frustrated, and a lot of us had started to drift off, and sort of, I was trying to go to university, and the rest of them we all had jobs, and we were working full time, and blah blah blah, and we weren't getting as many tour offers as we wanted, and we decided that we had to start again and sort of think about where we wanted to take what we'd already done, and then we released Revered by No and Feared by All, and we wanted to do that as like a we're back sort of thing, and then that sort of gave us a bit more respect and a bit more traction, and then we just from there it seems to have evolved into this sound that sort of doesn't matter if it's got death metal, it's got hardcore, it doesn't matter anymore if it's slam, it doesn't matter. Like, to be honest, people get pissed off at us and they call us out and stuff about it, but I don't think they realize our mentality towards it. Like, it's, if you take it seriously, then are you not a bit like, isn't that a bit silly? It's a fucking music genre that's based around riffs that just go 1 2 1 2 and it's in its nature, it's silly. So we were trying to just rustle up some jimmies by saying that we were the Slam Kings, just for the sole purpose. Yeah, exactly. It's because people took it so seriously, and we just started saying it because we knew it would piss people off, and to piss people off puts you in a forward-facing position where if people, I'd rather people be divided on us than everyone just go, oh yeah, they're the most brutal band ever. I'd rather cause division, because that then means that at least you've got something worth debating.
Yeah.
So that's where we are now. We've got a lot of death metal influences, hardcore influences, old and new deathcore influences. We would love bands like Pantera and Crowbar and classic metal bands, and we just want to just go and just put it all together into a big tangible mush, basically, of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting how as we just mentioned in the beginning, that Suppressing was definitely the first album. You had the elements of brutal death metal, and then you went to the Suppression, and obviously that's where all the criticism probably even started even more. And it's interesting because back in that time, there was always going to be a lot of dividing of moments of where there was a lot of metal genre fans that were going to be so criticizing other bands, how they're so mediocre, they're so boring. They've done this album and it's fucking trash, where the other album is fucking great. I mean, as you just mentioned, you got to show some defining moments of, you need to split up the group, for example, to even get the true fans to stick around with you guys instead of having the ones to, let's just say, they are not really true fans. They just want to throw hatred towards you guys or any other bands, for example. And the best thing, obviously, is just put down you guys as a Slam King, just to piss other bands off and piss other people off. And, it is funny. I always find it funny. Always.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, if you really think that, if you think that anybody is the Slam King of any kind, any band, I mean, that's just funny in itself. Really.
It is, yeah.
People take it seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an uphill battle, but I think that we're interesting and unique enough as people and with music to be able to stand out in a crowd, in a sea of similarity.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not much that's happened. I don't really pay attention to Slam anymore because I feel like it's been done 1,000 times and way better, and I'd rather use it as a tool than a writing tool rather than
just use it like a writing influence instead of just sticking to it as you listen to it every day. Like I listen to Slam every day, I listen to brutal death metal every day, but I like to go back into listening to like jazz or blues and listen to like chill music just to give me a bit more influence in my life as well, just to take it easy. You can't keep yourself listening to one specific genre every time. It just, as we just mentioned, it becomes mediocre. And
of course,
it's you got to have the variety. And like I mentioned, you guys had the variety to have that change in different elements into your play, and it's fantastic. And obviously the time where you guys were a small band and now you guys are a big band from the scene, especially in the UK scene. You guys are signed with a label company as well, which is fantastic. And you've got this variety of big merchandise companies to like give you distribution plans. Be like, we will give you certain commission if you let us use your merch to sell from like certain countries, and that's always something cool as well. And obviously I can't buy every merch because I know most of the merch is sometimes, for example,
you've bought enough of our merch in your time, Joshua.
Yes.
I'm very happy with the amount of merch that you've purchased off us throughout the years. So thank you very much.
There's no problem.
And anybody else who's ever supported us financially.
Yes, absolutely.
We really do appreciate it, and it does help us a lot because it does cost us.
It costs a lot of money. And it pays a lot of contribution for you guys to continue making music and touring and, just keeping alive with the band going through as well. Because obviously we had many bands in the UK scenery that were in the underground scenery still. They suffer with income and they don't get much money nowadays, and they will have to put themselves in hiatus or just become inactive. I have seen many bands like that, and we don't want that to become a big thing all the time with the UK scenery or any country sceneries. Like America's got some good bands and sceneries. I wish we would still have some more great bands in the scenery. You got some stuff in Australia, you got some in New Zealand, you got some in like Japan, mainly in the Asia. In Europe, it's definitely a big scenery. But yeah, I would love to get more scenery in UK scenery, not just like in London or Manchester, like basically everywhere, like Wales, Scotland. That would be fucking nice. but it is very, very hard challenge to overcome when you're trying to get the right income, especially
Yeah,
trying to tour all the time, which it can't happen because, job becomes the first thing you need, and obviously pay your rent and everything becomes a thing as well.
yeah. The money becomes priority when you're not earning a lot of it, unfortunately.
Exactly.
I mean, on some of the points that you made there, Ed, it's interesting that people see us as a big band, and I sort of appreciate when people say that to me, but I don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I only don't feel it because I feel like we've put in an awful lot of work, really, over a 14-year period, especially in the last 2.5 years. I'd say we really pumped it out, touring all the time. And I don't know, it makes me sound bitter, but sometimes it doesn't reflect, the money doesn't reflect, what you've done. People then, they tell you that you're a big band, but you're not getting the tours that you want, and it's difficult because it's all on you to sort of build this, and I don't feel butthurt about it. It's just, it's not the put in and the reward system when it comes to it is very, it's very, the scale is off,
Yeah, it comes very tricky.
And I think that in some people's head, I think it's hard because the little boys don't want to like play with us. It's like, we can't play with the little kids, but we're not allowed to play with the big kids either. And I feel that that's like frustrating for us. Even though I respect a lot. I respect a lot of bands, and I think that there's some great bands in the UK, and I think that they work hard, and I think that there's bands like Discarnate who really do want it, and they want to they want the tours, and they want to put in the work. I just it just annoys me when we get called big, and it just doesn't feel like that personally. It's a really nice thing that people say to you, and I really appreciate it when people say, "Oh, you're this band," and but I still feel like we're just a couple, like four normal people, really trying to just push out art and really trying to all get together and just being on this train of creativity, and we're riding a good wave right now, and I just hope it gets better and more professional, and we can start sort of like seeing a bit more financial return. It's not even about money personally, although obviously I would like money personally. I think that even as a band, it's difficult to maintain accounts. I think that there's so much that is. We went in with nothing, and we've realised that the risks are great.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You put so much forward, and it can be all just, especially with this stuff like the pandemic, like you put so much forward and it can all just be taken away.
You can go within a heartbeat,
and there's lots of frustrating elements to it, but I wouldn't change it for the world, and I think that I'm very proud of what we've done, what we've achieved, and I think that we're all getting to this point as artists and adults where the product reflects the maturity and the sort of the idea of being a respected, legitimate band, and not just some snide slam band out of Manchester. And I just I wish all the best to the small bands, and the passion for it is amazing. Absolutely. And the local UK scene, and the fact that these festivals that pop up that sell out, that are all these just friends in bands, and none of them are really like churning out material all the time, but they still exist in their level of what they can put into it, and they still are able to have a scene and a community that welcomes everybody, and that's great. I just wish that more people in this country would take the push to sort of try and be an international band, but it's a lot of risk, and you've got to be a little bit mental to sort of really want want to try and be a successful death metal band, which is a very contradictory term. Anyway, I've just talked forever, so you can ask me another question.
Yeah, I mean, I'll finish this and then we'll go to the next question. I think we definitely need to give everybody a big wish and blessing to make sure they actually succeed of what they wanted to do, because they have this one opportunity where they can make something big, as the saying goes, go big or go home. That's always been the thought in my life, where you need to work hard to actually achieve the good things you want in life. And
of course,
for
it
any
sometimes
bands,
helps being in the right place at the right time, but
yeah, absolutely. But any bands that are actually listening to this, please, by any means, just think about in your heart that if you're actually going to be thinking about becoming a big international band, like you mentioned, you're going to have to remember the sacrifice and the risk are going to be so huge that if you don't make an income within the one shows, it's going to happen as a cycle until you get the right timing, and then everything will come better in the future. Because I am friends with Not Ingested, I'm friends with certain bands, I'm friends with European bands, and I have seen bands that do suffer. I've seen bands that actually don't get the right income, promotions that don't get the right income as well, especially when they put on shows. They lose money. And, I would love to see more like Bro Death Metal shows in the UK. But unfortunately, it's all about money nowadays. And it is for the right reasons and not like for the selfish reasons. Like they don't want the money to be so sold out. They want to make sure they get the right money to make a profit for all the bands, to make sure they get the right money they need from the tour package. And especially when it comes to fuel, food and beverages, and just make sure if they got a room to stay for the next night as well. So that's why going to shows are definitely important. It always becomes a priority when you go and support the bands. But the main thing is definitely to support them by buying their merchandise. Licensing merchandise, bear in mind, not secondhand bootleg merchandise, because I know there are a lot of bootleg merchandise in like Indonesia type.
Just wait for anybody who wants to bootleg our merch.
Yeah,
we should be selling it enough ourselves now.
Hey, I mean, you could probably make good money from that, but you never know these days. but
yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's I think that if concert goers understood the logistics, I mean, any normal concert goer, if I went to go see, for example, Trivium, let's just say that because they're an important
big band enough. Yeah.
If you went to go see Trivium, your opinion as a fan is that you're going to go watch the band, and
Absolutely.
you know that band's going to go get the lion's share of the money.
Yep.
But when it comes, that's if you're in a well-established band. But for us, a lot of times, and for a lot of our peers, and a lot of people who are maybe on the stone before us, on the stepping stones, and all these bands that are working really hard. Like, I mean, I know you're friends with, and I'm friends with them too. Stillbirth guys, they work their asses off.
To the bone.
Lucas books these crazy tours, and I know that they're not getting what they deserve as artists, and it's unfortunate. So I agree with you. I think you should buy merch at shows, and I mean, if you've got it to spare, if you've got the money to buy merch, then you should definitely buy merch, and it's greatly appreciated, and especially for small or mid-level bands, really is important.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes a long way. And one thing I know for a fact at the moment, because in Bandcamp they do like this whole month, one day of the month scheme where they can do a profit towards 100% to all the bands that make money from for that one day. So let's say, for example, you guys got your albums out on Bandcamp and nobody's listened to them before or haven't bought them on Bandcamp. Best time to do it is when this Bandcamp scheme happens once a month. That way, if it's like the album costs $9.99, you get that 9.99 profit, and
Yeah,
that becomes a big contribution as well.
It's something that we've looked into, but I just don't think we've implemented it yet. There's a lot.
Right.
We've got a lot of at the moment because we're sort of gearing up for new material, and we've got a lot of stuff in the works. So it's quite hard to implement some of these things at this moment, really.
Yes. Yep. So with that being said, obviously that comes to the next question. What's the new directions going to be towards Ingested's new album? Because as we heard, the single album, the single track that you guys released not long ago, I think was basically like a month or two ago, if I can remember correctly. It was called Impending Domains, and and basically it was a great track. It had a bit of variety, as we mentioned earlier. It had a little bit of a suppressing in it. Like I felt, it felt a little bit of more of an Architect of Extinction vibes as well, and I thought that was quite catchy.
It's interesting that you say that.
Yeah. So I wanted to get
know other people look at it.
Yeah. So I would like to get your opinion about what's the new direction going to be for Ingested. Now we got this new tease of the independent domains. Is it going to be a little bit of more same roots, or is it going to be like a new path?
I'd say it was a more varied stylistically, but not so far away that it doesn't make sense. Like within the realms of our music, anyway. I think that parts of it are more accessible. Other parts of it are way more intense and brutal. I'd say it was a good all-rounder, and it's got some surprises on there that I think a lot of people will maybe criticize, maybe us for. But I think that overall, I believe that if they criticize it over something as weak an argument as genre or not being brutal enough, I mean, I think that detracts away from how focused the songwriting is on this album. I think that would probably be definitely our most focused album yet. It has elements of all of our material, really. I think it's a good place to be at the end of a tour where we did our first album and a 10-year anniversary of our tour. It's a good record to release that sort of encapsulates. It's like a full stop, and a nice full stop at the end of the sentence so far. So I think that it's very varied. I wouldn't say it was experimental particularly or anything like that. I'd just say that it was more varied, but it doesn't stop being the core sound of what you expect Ingested to write. It's just way more focused, way more tight, and better songwriting. I think we've all become better songwriters in general, and we're more confident than we've ever been, and I think it shows in the material and the products that we will be eventually releasing.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a very, very bold statement as well. And it's great to be confident, because you've got to have that confidence to go big balls with these shows and these new albums that you guys are going to be producing, and along with other bands as well. I mean, at the end of the day, it's how the band sees it. If bands can focus in a good material, it comes a long way, and it's fantastic. I'm definitely looking forward to the new album. But pretty much it's going to be...
I'm excited for people to hear it, which is obviously a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know that it could be considered a ballsy statement to say that you're confident about something, but I disagree in a way. I just think that it's if any confident artist is at the point in which they feel like they're writing their strongest material, I don't think that that balls has anything to do with it. It's more of a statement of where we are, I guess.
Yeah.
As a group, I mean, we always say the same thing. We're the same people. We've always been the same. I mean, we've had 5 members, but now we're back down to 4 members, but we're still the same unit. We still think as a unit, and we're a tighter unit than we've ever been. Unfortunately, obviously, Brad leaving is shit. you know, personally, but in other ways, it's helped us become more focused because to have somebody who doesn't not not that they don't want to be there, but can't necessarily put in the attention and care that they want, even they want to put into it, that can sort of put you in a difficult position as a group. So I think that he's probably done us a favor, although he doesn't realize that he's probably done us some sort of favor in just being able to focus more and being more in control of our own sort of destiny and where we go with it now. So although I sorely miss him as a friend, he's done the right thing by us, really. So, and you know, he's a great dude. Love him a lot.
Absolutely. And thank you to Brad, who's done so much contribution for Ingested for many, many years. And his installment as a basis for Ingested will never be forgotten. With that being said, obviously you must have had like a basis to be included for the new album. And if so, who was that new basis that you had?
Well, originally we were going to record the bass. I think Sean was just going to record it. I mean, we have a different dynamic anyway, because I don't record guitars because I'm very bad at it.
Okay.
I'm rudimentarily bad at it, just because I get very frustrated and I'm not a very calm recorder. But
okay.
I engineer all of our work, so I'll sit there and me and Sean will just sit there at a computer and we'll just record and record and record and record and record when it comes to recording an album. So originally Sean was going to do it, and then we are friends with Cryptopsy, and you obviously are friends with Cryptopsy as well. And on the tour we did when we supported them, I can't remember, I think it was last year in May. I can't remember when it was.
I think it was back in May or like springtime.
Like yeah, and we toured with them. They're very good friends of ours, very funny, charismatic people, and they had a fill-in for their bassist Ollie, who is also in Cattle Decapitation.
Yes,
he could not fulfill that tour, the European tour, with Cryptopsy, so they got in a friend of ours as well, who's called Dominic Grimard, and he used to play in Ion Dissonance, and his old band back in the day was The Last Felony, a great OG deathcore band. And we were massive fans of that album, and we were very good friends with Dom after touring in Canada, and just saying to him, like, you know, come out to the show, it'd be lovely to meet you because we love your work in Last Felony. And we became friends, and then luckily he filled in for Ollie on that Cryptopsy tour.
That's great.
Because he's good friends with Christian, who also produces our albums as well. And so he came in to fill in for bass for them, and obviously we became very close friends. And when we were playing with Despised Icon in America and Canada last year, he said to us, I'd love to do the Canada dates for you because I've got nothing to do and I just want to play, really.
Yeah.
So we sent him the set that we were playing at the time, and he learned it all by ear because he's a fucking genius. And he just turned up at the venue, and we were like, right, okay, play us what you know then. And we were like, right, okay, that's wrong, but it's here. And he was like, right, okay. And we did that for 10 minutes, and then he just smashed it out. He was with us for 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days, something like that. And he just absolutely smashed it. Like, first time. So we were running pre-recorded bass on that tour, and he just came in with his new bass guitar that he just got from Dingwall, and just absolutely smashed it. He sounded so good on stage, and he was buzzing. And then when it came time to go through the process of recording on this album, he actually is like Christian, guitarist from Cryptopsy, he works as his assistant for the grid. So a lot of stuff gets worked on by Dominic as well. And we were talks about what we were going to do and blah, blah, blah. And he just said, I'll do it. I'll play the bass in the whole album if you want. And we were just like, it's a lot of work. You know, we've got to, like, you know, you'll find it very easy to record because I don't think our stuff's very complicated technically, but you'll find it easy. But we'll send you some tabs and we'll tab it all out and whatever. And he got his new bass from Dingwall, and he sat in with Christian, and I think he did it in like 3 days, and he came back and it just sounded,
that's crazy,
so good, unbelievable good. And very happy with the way the bass turned out. So shouts out to Dom if you're watching, or you know, if you get this through word of mouth, then shout out to fucking Dom. You're the man. You did us a massive favor. Your tone was amazing. You're an amazing player, and I can't wait to hang out with you again. Thank you very much. That was the situation with bass on the album.
Much appreciated, Dom. And definitely shout out to Cryptopsy. Shout out to Christian Donaldson, who has got the studio called The Grid. Shout out to Matthew from Fox and Hops, who does his podcast sessions, especially with his craft beer enthusiasm. Although I'm not a craft beer enthusiastic, but you know, I definitely would give a podcast a listen here and there if you've got nothing else to do.
He's a great interviewer. He's a very funny man.
He is.
He's a very nice man to be around. So
he is an absolute amazing dude, and you know, I'm very grateful to get to know Matthew. It's the same thing like I got to know you guys, and it's fantastic achievement to be friends with. But yeah, I would like to know what's really going on now, because you know, obviously this COVID it's pretty much taken a toll of us with touring, shows, music, and maybe even a little bit of trying to make new merch. But was there going to be any progress of touring, or not really? It was just going to be bit of a quiet year.
We're just, at the moment, we're tentatively putting the idea of shows forward. And it's I don't think that normal service is really going to resume probably until November for Europe. I would say probably as late as that, as early as that. Really, that's the earliest it's going to be, in my opinion. That's just based off what our booking agents seem to be in talks around with other bands, and they obviously have more of a knowledge and grasp on it than we do. So that's what they're projecting, is sort of that time. Obviously, that is completely skepticism. We don't know if that's going to be the case, but we're hoping towards starting again on the tour cycles at the end of the year. We've got our newest releases coming out soon. I can't tell you when, but enough. And hopefully that will give us enough time to sort of prepare for a tour that will be better production value, hopefully, in general, and we can spend more time marketing it. And I mean, I guess that's the one advantage. And the other disadvantage is that everybody's going to want to do it at the same time. Everyone's going to be eager to get back out on the road, which is, you know, it's great for the music, but
it's going to be very tricky.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be competitive for the first half of next year, very competitive. So hopefully there can be some, because we've all had to start again and there's no overlap, hopefully there might be some nice tours that come out of it, because we're all available at the same time. So that I'm hoping that's the case.
Yeah.
But I would like to get out on the road before the end of the year, if not early next year.
Yeah.
Like it's a double-edged sword for me, touring, because when I'm on tour, after a bit it fucking sucks, because you're in a van and all the things that suck about tour. I mean, tours, it's great from a travel perspective, but there's lots of things that suck.
Absolutely.
Especially if you've not got a lot of money. So, but when I'm at home, all I want to do is tour. So I think a lot of musicians feel like that. I think definitely it's a thing that Ingested as a collective feel like, God, it's like after a tour for a bit and you're on your second tour in a row and you're just like, please, please let me have one day alone. And then you're forced to be alone by a pandemic. Then you're just like, let me out. I want to go on tour again. I need tinnies and mates. And I need fucking... I
Yeah,
need
I think.
extreme heats and extreme colds at the same time.
Yeah, I think it really sucks that we're all in a situation where we can't tour much time. Obviously, I'm not in a band, but for bandmates, and they struggle to not go on to shows at this year because obviously this situation. And realistically, I'm in the double-edged sword as well. But I think the other realistic side is I think shows are going to happen until next year, and the reason I say that is simply because there's been articles released and they're basically saying music events were going to happen maybe this year, but there's going to be restriction guidance policies where there's going to be like a 2 meter gap from every person, and there's going to be like you can't stage dive, you can't crowd kill anybody, you can't do this, you can't do that. So it's kind of like standing on your own square, fold your arms, and do nothing, basically.
It's gonna be like being at a tech death show.
Oh man.
But I don't know. Personally, although I think that you could be very right, they will be strict for a while. I think that how are you going to fucking enforce something like that? There's just no way you can enforce it. There's no way that they'll want you to have these guidelines, but there's no way people are going to follow them. There's no way.
No.
I
think that's going to be impossible because it's literally people going to bring energy in, and you're going to really disrupt the energy by standing in your own box and just do nothing, and
people don't want to go to shows to stand 2 meters apart. You couldn't do that anyway. I mean, how could you do that? How could you've been to the underworld? How could you fucking go to the underworld?
That's hard enough as it is, man. Or even the Black Heart. The Black Heart is even worse, man. There's like 150 people in there, and that's difficult. But apparently, they were going to mention about they'll have to like even do half the limited capacity, and it's just going to be basically only 75 people can watch Ingested live in the Black Heart. I mean, that's not enough, man.
It's just not enough in terms of the economics of shows. Like, it just isn't. You've already got the bands at our level. You're getting the cheapest venues in the first place, or the most suitable / well-priced venues in the first place, and then they're low-capacity venues in general, and they want to then slash attendance in half and stop people from moshing. It's just not going to happen. No way. It's like they've eased the lockdown last Monday.
Yeah.
And I mean, they say do this, and like that, but nobody's going to do it. As soon as you tell someone they're allowed to drive to the beach, there's going to be
tons
5,000 people going to the
tons
beach.
of people, man. Honestly,
as soon as you say gigs are allowed again, but the buts are not going to happen. They're just going to let people in, and people are going to make up their own mind. And I mean, people are fucking grotty anyway, so who gives a fuck?
People are going to be eager to go out, and people will be eager to see their friends. It's just not going to work, man. No. Especially socializing distance. It's not going to work, man. It's just you're going to put too much rules on people, and it's just going to cripple economically reasons, and it's just going to ruin people's habit of trying to be friendly with everybody. Sorry?
It's just not going to be economically smart to put on shows.
No.
If that's the case. So
no.
They just want to get booked. But I don't think that's... I think that this is the first step for us, anyway, for our country, towards a decline in the restrictions, and I think that event. I don't even think that these restrictions are even really a government decision. I think that the government probably wants to extend the lockdown further, really, and medical experts probably want to extend the lockdown further as well. But you just can't. There's a boiling point for society, and I think that ultimately the society is going to dictate when things are going to be able to be put back on.
Yep.
So I think people are just going to get sick of not being able to go out to bars by probably August, probably July, really, because it's going to be fucking roasting, and people want to want to go to the fucking beer gardens, and it sounds so trivial in comparison to the health of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, but that's just the way that society works. It's just
it does. It does, man. And I heard a little information that Weatherspoons were going to be open back in July.
Yeah, they're the ones that really dictate when things are going to be open. It's the big companies like Weatherspoons and British Airlines. As soon as they want to start making money again, that's when people are going to start flying again.
Yeah, and that's it. It's even like I saw the newspapers. They even meant, and this was today. They mentioned about how the holidays are going to be back to normal in July. Like, how is that going to work? Like, it's still going to be. We're still going to be having the same questions about how many people could go in the plane, the safety procedures.
Variables. There's too many variables. It's like you just can't. When there's a pandemic like this, I just think that we're a slave to the pandemic.
We are.
And we're in no way in control of it. No. And it's just going to run its course. You can't stop people from touching streetlights, can you, to cross the road? And I mean, that's just.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't touched any streetlights since this happened. So I've been going bold,
little things like that,
run through the opposite of the street, and that's it. That's it, mate.
But it's the microtransactions of your life that put you at risk, and I just think that it's nigh on impossible to socially enforce it and to keep a lid on something like this. So maybe it is time that we just accept that this virus is going to run its course and then go back to normal life. Obviously, I would like things to come back on by
absolutely
November time. I think that's probably a sensible place to be in November, but
I think December likely, but definitely I think it is a waiting game though. It's one of those games where we don't have the control of who we play or what we are destined to do, but we have to wait so patiently,
all these things that are put in place, they're just measures to stop people from really dying for mass amounts of death.
Yeah.
But there's no way you can stop the virus from ripping through a population. It just doesn't happen like that. So.
But one thing that does question me a little bit is wondering if the numbers are actually accurate or it's just a bit of fake numbers just to get people's attention.
I don't know. I think our government has a way of. I think they're under a lot more scrutiny than other countries. Well, European governments seem to be under a bit more scrutiny than maybe Chinese or American or.
Yeah.
And that's only because I'm familiar with them. I guess I don't really know. That's the point I'm making. But it seems on a very surface level that the fact that we're having 3 people stand in front of cameras every single day for the news and give us updates on these numbers, it seems like it's a bit more legitimate, let's say. I think that they probably miss a load of figures out from. Apparently, they were missing figures out from nursing homes and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think that's probably a way of not letting people panic. Panic reduction.
Sure, but as we just said, it's a waiting game that we have to do what we got to do, and especially if we don't like it. Like I know for a fact, I'm not going to do much for my birthday, and that's in August. But it's something that's got to be done, especially if people can't have family gatherings as well. That does fucking suck. But at the same time, if they are living at home, then you got to be grateful that you're actually with your family instead of just living on
Yeah.
your own, like
I
myself.
feel
You know,
I feel sorry for the people who can't be with people at this time. It's very
absolutely,
upsetting. It's very upsetting, and uh, I think that's probably the first thing that should happen is that people should get back to their family lives. And
absolutely.
I'm lucky to have my parents close and a lot of my family close with me where I live, so
Mhm.
it's not as much of an issue.
No,
And yeah, I just hope that people can get back to some sort of normality and people are not going mental and really doing feeling these heavy anxieties that come with being alone. And
mm,
it's definitely a sad place to be in now.
yes, and especially when people who have got mental health issues, like myself or any other mutual friends, will have it does take upon our tolls, and especially it. For example, I had panic attacks for the past 2 weeks in the beginning of this whole situation at work, and I never told management about it because it was not really a big deal for them to really worry about it. But ever since after those 2 weeks, I was just like, it's going to go through a cycle. It's going to happen every day, and I've just got to accept it, you know. But
Yeah,
especially when people are going to be living on their own, the depression is going to hit on them every single day. It's bad enough as it is to think suicidal and not to see their friends and their families. I mean, they can try to keep in touch with their families every day, but it's more of the interaction, the whole vibes, and it's all about just having that energy, the aura, and to be with
yeah.
them every day.
Sometimes it's difficult for people who do have they struggle with their mental health to even get the energy to do things in the first place. So I commend anybody who is suffering through this, and I think that I hope that they come out of the other end of the tunnel
Absolutely.
having with light instead of getting worse. And I can and I hope that we're through the worst of it. So
Mhm.
I hope that those people who are struggling out there are can get some form of support. And
Mhm.
I wouldn't even know where to begin myself because
Yeah.
I just I'm no expert on mental health, but I wish everybody the best, and that we can return back to some level of normality. And anyone who's struggling out there, there's always people to talk to, even if you don't think that they want to hear you.
Mm.
That's most of the time that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And you worrying about you being a burden to other people is less of a burden than you not being here. So
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I remember having our chats about my mental health, and this was all before the pandemic, and it's that feeling that you can't carry on, and it does become a very, very big problem if you don't have that feeling, you don't have that energy to continue. And it's
yeah,
always worth having a chat with someone who does have the mental health issues. Like, you can always contact like your NHS, they can always provide you some details, but there are some variety of different mental health companies that can give you the support that you need. Like, I can just show a list if I can find it. It's just for anxiety. It's just there's one for that. There's one for bipolar. There's one for calm. Especially calm is all about campaign against living miserably. It's for the age of between 15 to 35. There's one for Men's Health Forum. So there's one for Mental Health Foundation. There's Mind. There's No Panic Attack. OCD Action. OCD UK. Papyrus. Rethink Mental Health Illness. Samaritans. I know they're pretty much a big one. Sane. young minds, and there's tons of them for like domestic abuse ones as well, because they're going to the same
Yeah,
phrase as well, you know.
yeah,
Um,
that's awful. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. But I would definitely leave a links down in the description for anybody that does have mental health issues, and you know they want the time to put on to speak to somebody.
yeah,
That makes a big difference instead of just speaking to yourself or just staying
yeah.
silent, you know.
I think
But
I
definitely,
think with my experience with people that have any mental health issues that are friends of mine in the past, is just, to let people know that they're never a burden,
yeah,
and that's what I would like to echo
yeah,
for
for
people
sure.
who are struggling.
Yeah. Um, for me, I would just love to say that with me having my own mental health, I've been through phases for many, many years, and I still do to this day. Like, there's no shame into saying it, because it does happen day to day. It does happen once in a while. You will have your happiness, and then the misery comes into play, and then you're gonna have that one of those days, or maybe even more longer. Um, but every day does matter in your life, and you know you're part of a human being society that does matter, that does have the opportunity to speak to people. You know, you don't have to go silent for any reason whatsoever. So by any means, if you have a friend that does want to listen to you as well, speak to them as well, because you know it goes a long way. For my work, I have somebody who I can speak to when it comes to management. I would like to speak to colleagues, but some of them would probably have the attitude like, I don't care attitude. So I rather just speak to like friends I know, like yourself, or any
Yeah,
friends that I do know mutually as well. Management, my family, you know, and the list can go long if I have to say a long list, but I'm not going to. But it just like, it's just an example. But please, by any means, guys or girls, if you have any issues, just do something the right way, and you know, just don't think too much, don't overdo it, don't exploit the fact that you are not worth it. I mean, everybody knows that they are worth it in the end, and your life does matter. And whether you're living in a low class society or you're living in a rich class society, it's every human being has a purpose, and every human being has a meaningful way to make an appearance in your life, you know. Like for myself, I made an appearance being a male head and being friendly to each and every one of you, like yourself, Sam, and you know, everybody that we know mutually. Like, even if I have disagreements with certain people, they are still part of my life, and that all that matters, you know. But at the end of the day, it's a tough situation, and especially with this whole pandemic going around, that's tough enough as it is. But we can move aside from the past, and you know, think forward, and we try to be smart. We try to be very, very wise with what we do, and it goes a long way, because we are in a new normal now, and you know, with this new normal thing, it's like it's all about trying to stay safe and try to be wise with everybody, keep your distance, keep hygienic, you know, or whatever health advice we get. um but aside from that, pretty much the next question I've just got to ask is, have you got any pastime hobbies while you're in under quarantine, really?
Um, well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it was a hobby, but I am, as you know, as yourself have been. I was a chef for many years, for
Yep.
6 years. So
Yep.
I've been getting fat and eating and cooking a lot, and starting to cook more for myself and better meals, and
Yeah.
sort of experimenting with stuff that I've never really went into before. As you, I think you know, that I've been vegan now for 10 years, so
Oh,
that's
amazing.
interesting. It's interesting to try things that I've never tried to make before, especially
Mm.
stuff that you can get like in restaurants that I never tried to make personally myself. So I've been doing a lot of cooking and trying out new stuff when it comes to cooking and food and stuff like that. And I'd like to say that I've been getting into gardening, but I'd say that it was more of my here has a. I'm currently at my mum's house, so she has a beautiful, massive, crazy garden.
Nice.
But it's very laborious to do gardening, so and I've got a bit of sunburn on my head, so I'm not too happy about that. So, but did a little bit of gardening, not loads, not enough to really call it a hobby. I do all of Ingested's merch. I do all the design, or at least it comes through me at some point. So I wouldn't say that I don't do the art, but I put together the merch a lot. So I've been doing bits of that. Been doing a little bit of design for some people who've wanted a logo. I did a logo the other week for a band called Godfuck, which is one of my friends' bands. I don't think they've really started yet. I've been checking every day to see if they've created any social media yet, but they haven't. I think they're still just jamming out and just getting ready or whatever. And
Sure.
so I did a logo for them the other day just because I needed some money, and they asked if through a friend if I could do them the logo. So I did that. I did some some other graphic design for a friend of a friend as well. Yeah, other than that, not a lot, not a hell of a lot. A lot of eating, cooking, and having long baths, and I've been drinking a bit less, which is good.
Good.
If anybody has met me on tour, I'm interested in drinking. So, all of us in Ingested are jovial drinkers, I would say. I wouldn't say.
I was about to say, you definitely guys would probably be drinking the most when it comes to touring, and I never would have assumed you'd be the most drinker in the whole Ingester. I would have assumed.
Oh no, it's not that
Jason.
I drink. It's not that I drink the most. It's that I'm the shittest at drinking. I think the rest of the boys would probably be pretty happy to hear me admit that, but I'm not great at drinking because I don't. I do this awful thing on tour where I don't eat all day and drink. I do that a lot, so it's an excuse for being shit at drinking, but
Sure.
it doesn't help when I've not when I purposefully don't eat and then see friends that I've not seen for a while in a city, and then I'm like, and I just get that excited, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's a party, and like that's just like game over. See you later. That's
That's it.
me going to bed at 11 o'clock. At my face. We're all like a tinny, as most people who've ever met us know. We all like a drink, but I've cut down on drinking a little bit, so I've lost a little bit of weight, not loads of weight, but that's been better, probably for my mental health and for my body a bit.
Absolutely.
Because I drink beer, which is obviously fucking packed full of sugar and carbs and shit that's not good for your body.
It is.
So, yeah, I've been cutting down on the drink a little bit, which is good. And yeah, hobbies. I've not really been writing much music. I've not really. All of our stuff's scattered around, and I've not been able to get hold of it until very, very recently.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to sort of work on some music soon with the rest of us. I don't know if a lot of people know this. We do talk about it sometimes in interviews, but we're constantly writing all the time. So we write in like just huge cycles, and we're sort of gearing up at the moment to looking at demos of even newer material. So
nice.
Hopefully we'll just keep the train going. We want to do something a bit more epic next time, maybe something a bit more showy, because we just got a lot of material, a lot of back catalogue material that we've not worked through, because Sean is the chief I wouldn't say he's the chief composer of the music. So and he works as a postman, so he's got a lot of time, and he's very good at writing songs in his head. I know that sounds ridiculous, but
Yeah.
he like has long periods of time where he's on his own. So while he's doing his job, so he writes songs while he's posting letters through people's letterboxes. I know exactly what he's like. He'll have recorded like 5 riffs on his phone, and then he'll walk around with his earphones in all day like that, and he'll put it together in his head. He'll be like, no, right, what do I have to say? I'm gonna put that there. Oh yeah, I've got to put, oh, then I put a solo there. So he's been doing that for 3 to 4 years now.
That's crazy.
So we've got a lot of material we need to work through, and so that means we've got a lot of longevity left in us, hopefully, for the next bit. And Lynn has been talking about doing some projects in Spain because he lives in Spain, and
Okay.
he's very good friends with the engineer that worked on our last album and Call of the Void. He's called Nico. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. It's difficult, but he's a top lad, great dude. Works so hard for us. He's so supportive of everything we do, and I think him and Lynn are going to try and work on some stuff. I don't know what's going to come of it, but he's been talking to me and other people about that. Whether it pans out or not, I'm not too sure.
Sure.
He's just got Nico a kit through his endorsement company as well. So he's working on that, and he's asked me to do some stuff for that. So I might contribute to that if he wants me to. If it works out, if it doesn't, he sent me a couple of ideas, and I'm working on that. It's not exactly a side project yet, but it might materialize into it if we can all be bothered, if we've got the time to put into it. And I've got loads of material that's not Ingested or Death Metal at all, and I was gonna work on that, but I'm fucking really lazy, and I've still got Ingested stuff that I should be doing that I'm not, that I'm procrastinating on. So I don't know. These hobbies are hard to find time for when you're in a full-time band, but I've been doing loads of little things. How about yourself? What have you been keeping occupied doing? I mean, I know you started this now, which is good for you. I think it'll definitely keep you busy and give you something to do.
Absolutely.
And you've got a lot of friends in the industry and stuff, and friends of friends, and I think you're honest and earnest and kind, and I think a lot of people will warm to you, especially if you go looking for it. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Good luck to you, and thank you very much for interviewing me and everything. I know we're not coming to an end, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you wanting to talk to me anyway. You know, it's very humbling.
Yeah,
I enjoy chatting with my friends. So.
Definitely, and I appreciate your compliments and your feedback about that this could go in a big opportunity, like as a hobby, but it could also be a big opportunity. Like I can get an endorsement next year, for example, and it can go major.
Well, let's hope it grows.
Absolutely. I mean, I've got plans.
The success that Matt had at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got project. I got some ideas of what I want to do for the upcoming months. One of the ideas was going to be a round table where I would like to get some musicians, different types of musicians involved in the round table where we can discuss about tones, guitars, equipments, and et cetera, et cetera. It could be like a big idea for many musicians who are new that want to start getting an idea of what to use or equipment wise. So that could be something I could think about, or like a trivia where we can just get involved, just having to get to know new people as well, like some quiz or whatever. So that's kind of like a cool thing I want to do, but that's all about timing and trying to fit in my schedule and everybody else's schedule,
yeah, of course, yeah.
Aside from that, video games have definitely been part of my life for the past 15 years, I think. Yeah. And
are you an online gamer? Are you?
Huh?
Do you play a lot of like online gaming and stuff like
I do, and
with PC Master Race.
Oh yeah, I've seen stuff like that as well, man. Like I'm a console gamer, but I would like to get into PC in the future as well. But with that being said, I know Jason has got a Twitch account, and I know he does live stream. So if anybody that does watch this podcast and does not know that Jason does a gaming Twitch stream, live stream, go follow his Twitch at LeSlamKeen, I think, if that's correct. He does do gaming sessions, and as far as I know, and he's doing a part of Ingested to do some giveaways once in a while to,
Yeah, we're talking about doing more on it between us, so I hope
that's great.
that as well. But obviously, I don't want to give too much away if it's his thing,
Yeah, no, it definitely does cost money as well, but it's something to give something back in the meantime with all this situation, to stay at home and, it's just to keep active with people, many as possible, like I'm doing right now. I got nothing to give away, especially the signed drum skin I got from you guys back in the London show. So, I definitely do not want to give that away. That's for damn sure.
All the stuff I've got here is not worth shit at the moment.
It still holds a valued piece of memories. That's always I learn.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And,
I've got a lot of little bits of old stuff that I think a lot of people who collect that sort of stuff would definitely be interested in, but
sure.
I'm just like, whatever, I saw something. I saw something the other day that was interesting. All of us in Ingested, what we'll do is we will reverse search hashtags for Ingested. Every musician on the planet does it, but we do it as well. So we flick through our own hashtag, and the other day I saw somebody who has an original copy of a free track demo we did as Age of Suffering that we gave out at a gig that I can't even remember who headlined it now. It might have been Visceral Bleeding, if you know Visceral Bleeding.
Oh, Visceral Bleeding. Damn it, bro. That's long.
They're a Swedish technical death metal band. Jesus. They were like pretty big. They were doing pretty well around 2005, maybe around that time. They were doing really well. They were getting good slots then.
Yeah.
And they headlined at the Star and Garter in Manchester. And Castrated were opening. It was the first time we'd ever seen Castrated live, and we weren't really a band yet. But we'd brought 30 of these CDRs that I'd burned off at home with a printed, just like a crappy, printed on the home print.
It's one of those copies you can get from the London high streets, and it's
exactly. Yeah, it's exactly.
All those stuff
listen to my mixtape. It's the same thing. Yeah, so we had a 3-track EP that we were giving out at the show to random people who looked like they'd be interested. I remember that one of my friends, who's been a long time friend of mine, is called Matthew Jones. You might know Matty Jones.
Matthew Jones, yep.
Yeah, he used to be in Neuroma, and was in lots of other bands, including Crepitation, stuff like that.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Very, very good friend, very old, dear friend of Ingested, and he even came to visit us while we were in the studio last on his motorcycle. He came and hung out with us for a day. It was great seeing him.
Oh, nice.
He's every time I see him, he's like, I've still got that fucking Age of Suffering CD. I've still fucking got it. Still got it. I'm waiting until it's worth something. I still got it. 3-track, drum machine. And I'm like, fuck off, mate. It's never going to be worth anything. And then I saw some guy yesterday on Instagram, and he lives in fucking Las Vegas, and he's got a copy of it. And I remember walking around the Star and Garter, a gig of 30 people, before any bands had even started, just randomly giving out these crappy Age of Suffering CDRs to people that had like a weird swirly death metal logo that Sean had drew, and I'd knocked it up in like Word or something like that, like half Photoshop, half Word, because I didn't know how to work Photoshop at the time. And this dude in fucking Las Vegas has got an original copy. I know it's an original copy because I remember, because he's got the case. He's got the actual case that I put him in, like the little jewel cases.
Jesus Christ!
He's got an original jewel case with it and everything. He's like, because they look like old singles, like old CD singles. Same cases as them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how the fuck has this dude in Las Vegas got an original print of something that we just burnt off on our fucking computer 15 years ago. It's crazy.
It's
Absolutely
fucking mental,
crazy.
isn't it, man? Like,
I think we only did 30 of them,
mm,
and I think we stayed up all night, like printing and pumping
printing and
out the
burning and
CDRs.
everything,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Fucking hell.
crazy.
That is definitely crazy. Like 15 years, it's definitely gone. Like you wouldn't think it's gone quick at all sometimes, but
It's
it's
the same when I
crazy.
speak with Matt, dude. Every single time I speak with Matt, it's the same. Yeah, the interview's over, and I'm like, really? It feels like we've been talking for like 10 minutes.
Mm. But yeah, aside from those little bit of hobbies I've got, I've used to be a chef like you did for 6 years, and mentally it was not the right time for me to continue, and I had to leave.
It's a
Being
fucking
chef,
horrible job.
it was,
Horrible.
it was, and
We've talked about this a couple of times, I believe. It is a fucking dog shit job.
it is, man. Like even the chefs don't get the recognition or the greatest wage slip at all. It was all poverty and it's all bullshit. I remember I had to do some overtime for the last extra 3 hours, and basically I got paid. I think it was about £10 per an hour overnight, and I thought that's cool. Me being a kid at the time was cool. Along with my normal wage, which was about £7.20, and that was
Yeah,
like my original wage. And I thought, all right, I'll earn an extra few bucks, no problem. So did that. Finished 1 o'clock. We'll get a taxi, whatever. I had to, but the company paid for it, so that's not a bad thing. And then my wage slip came into play. Most of it went to tax, and I thought that is just absolutely scandal. Especially when people like us work hard, and then we just get fucking scandaled by the whole paying tax a lot, and it's just ridiculous. But for me, I just never would like to go back as a chef. Not like I dislike any chefs. I think there's amazing creativity chefs along the road. But for me, mentally and physically, I couldn't continue. I was sick most of the time. I just couldn't carry on being so negative or so ill that I had to sacrifice it and just carry on with another job, which I'm not going to go into details of my job at the moment because there's some stuff behind the scenes. Not like it's anything negative, but it's about my work progress. So I can't go into the details just in case if any colleagues speak to me about it. And it's not like it's a bad thing, but it's just I'm trying to progress, for example, and I can't say anything.
You can't really be talking about it on your podcast.
No, of course not. Unless I earn some YouTube money, and then I can say about it,
Yeah, you can say whatever you want then.
Exactly. But aside from
I had
that,
a hard time as well, man. I had a hard time chefing. It was difficult. I had a hard mental time with it. It's the physicality of it, and your working patterns. The fucks with your head, and it's an intense job, and a lot of it's expected of you for nothing. And it's not that there's not great restaurants. It's not that there's not great chefs. It's just the industry itself needs reform. It just needs. It's the only industry left apart from entertainment, I guess, where they don't have, and there's no. It's like the Wild West, They don't have any. People just do what they want, and they just pay people peanuts for whatever, and they try and just squeeze every fucking penny out of you. And it's they don't give a shit that it's unsociable hours. They don't give a shit that and like there's so much drama in like restaurants because everybody's under the same weight of stress and pressure, and
absolutely,
all the front of house and back of house are always at each other's throats everywhere you go, and you're friends with these people, but you have this working environment that just breeds negativity, like you said, and
it does.
Very difficult. It takes its toll on you mentally, and you wake up at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you don't want to fucking go into work for 4. Do you know what I mean? And you go to bed at fucking 3:00 in the morning because you come back from work and you just like and you watch the million different fucking videos just to get your brain to shut down.
For example, I had to do double shift most of the time, and For example, that would be like 6 o'clock in the morning start, and then go for break about 1 o'clock, come back to work and do an evening shift by 5 o'clock, finish about 11 o'clock at night.
Then
So,
you're not out by 1, so...
yeah, it's just
Fucking
madness, bro. Pure
There's
madness.
there's not enough people who are skilled enough to do it, so the work balance is unbalanced. The work is
It is.
unbalanced between people, and it's an industry where if you are the better you are, the more that you, in a way, punished for it, because you are given. A lot of people may say that they want the hours, but doing a 12-12 is not. It's not good for you mentally. And doing a 12-12 5 days a week, it's fucking. I have plenty of friends who've done it as well, and that their job was just doing 12-12s every day, 5 days. And it's just, why would you want to?
It was so bad, bro. It was like I had to do. One thing that we do in Henley is there's a racing festival called the Henley Regatta, and that's normally about 5 days a week event. So it starts majority on the Wednesday, and then we finish about Sunday. So it's not like it's a big issue, but the big issue is how many people you have to serve for the whole fucking week.
Yeah.
And obviously the profit, I can see the perspective of the business, but you had to do at least over 56 hours for that 1 week. And I remember I did 65 hours in that 1 week. It was so bad.
And like, if you were getting a decent enough wage, a fair wage, then you wouldn't mind doing fucking 60 hours, because at least at the end of the tunnel, you're like, fuck, I'm going to be wadded. But you never are. You're always on the back foot.
It's not just that. It's just being paid by peanuts, but it's also paying tax, like I mentioned earlier. And it's so bad. It takes at least an extra £300 out if you did a lot of hours and not getting
exactly.
it, you know?
Then the more hours you do, the more you're getting taxed. So
it's bullshit.
It'd probably be interesting to tell you now that I used to be a tax officer as well. After I was a chef, directly after.
Wow.
But I worked in customer support, so I wasn't the tax man coming to, I didn't work in compliance. I worked in helping people most of the time. So it was another job which I struggled with, but it was definitely a good educational job. It really did help me grasp a lot of things that I don't think a lot of people understand about taxes and stuff. And but it felt good to help people, and it's a bit strange because it's a government agency, everything's timed. So because you're on taxpayers' money, so you have to, it's just like call.
That's it.
And it makes it a little bit difficult for you to really focus on people who need more help than what you're supposed to give them, even if you can give it to them.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's a more of a personal, ideological way of what I don't like about it. But other than that, it's just fucking boring, and you feel like a robot being there. So it's fucking shit in that sense. That's why me and Lynn were just very unhappy at one point with the status quo of our lives, and we were just like, this band is getting to the point where people know who we are in the scene. We're toured enough. Let's just fucking put all our eggs in one basket and let's do it. And it's the highs and the lows are way further apart.
Yep.
But I wouldn't change anything about it.
No, that's great. With that being said, I think it's a good touching way to finish the podcast. Before that, we will do a band shout outs for any bands that deserve recognition or opportunity, like I always do in my podcast, because I like to give something back more than me giving the thing.
I'll do some as well. You go first, and while I'll figure out some bands to shout out.
Absolutely. So with that being said, obviously I mentioned earlier how bands should get the contribution when it comes to like Bandcamp. Go listen to Bandcamp or go into the Bandcamp websites to specific bands when it comes to once in a month scheme where you can just contribute a specific amount of money. You can still buy merch in Bandcamp as well. And more of that can give more contribution from Bandcamp to give the 100% profit to the bands that you're paying for. Try not to do it too much on Spotify. The only reason I say that is much as we have this opportunity to listen to bands and albums on Spotify, and it is a big platform. The trouble is they take most of the commission out compared to Bandcamp, and be very wary about that, guys. And that's the main thing I would like to say when it comes to like industry such and such. But if you definitely want to listen to that, you do that. But if you want to buy some clothing material, go into indie merch, go to Epicon, go to Reality Fade Records, go to Brutal Minds, go to Fat Lauder Tub, go to these clothing companies that deserve your money when it comes to like merchandise.
Go to Allotment, that's where ours is.
or even go to Ingested's page where you can go to their shop page and they can buy.
Allotment got a good selection of stuff. A good company.
Absolutely. And they definitely got a big variety of like stuff. But I'm sure with this new album coming out very soon, there's going to probably be a bit more optional, different types of merch coming out soon.
Oh yeah.
So just be patient if you definitely want to spend your money on it, or just if you have got the money and you definitely want to support Ingested by any means, go and buy their merch officially, or just buy from like indie merch if you're from the US. If you're like from Asia,
shout out these bands. Come on, let's go.
Rightio, let's do it, my friend. So I'd like to do a first shout out to Arcania. I know there's not much going around at the moment, but I have been told that Luke's mentioned that there is going to be a new album coming out soon, but this is in the future, so that's not going to be yet until maybe next year or two. Beneath the Massacre, I'd love to give a shout out to them. I've been listening to them recently, and Beneath the Massacre is one of the bands I can go back to, and it's fantastic. Bludgeon, I think they're from X6, and they're very cool dudes. They're very brutal, they're very technical a little bit as well. So Bludgeon, Carniflor, they're going to be releasing Floor's going to be releasing a new track on the 25th, or maybe next week on Monday, if I can remember correctly. So he said there's going to be a new song coming out with more details about the album he's going to be releasing. Definitely Chimera. I know many people don't listen to Chimera much, maybe, but I know Chimera are a very decent band. Along with Crepitation, a big band that comes from the underground scenery, and I know Crepitation are full of like noise, but I would love to listen to noise more than opera, to be honest with you. And I've got nothing against opera, but I just love noise so much more. Defilement, they're fucking cool. Dying Fetus are fucking cool. Gordas are fucking cool. Definitely listen to them. Ingested, I'll give Ingested a fucking listen if you have not heard of Ingested. So that's a little sneak peek in there. I think it's more of the underground bands I would definitely love to give more shouts to, but I don't want to spend more time flapping my gums and stuff. So I'll give you the platform now, my man.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my brothers in Sweden, in Reverence. They're a great band. I think they've been super slept on, and they're a great band. Just think of some others. You see, it all just goes out your head as soon as you try and think of somebody. It just all goes out your head.
It does, doesn't it?
Shout out to our good friends in Osaya. Great dudes. I've been speaking to a lot of them recently, just chatting. Good friends of ours. Mm-hmm. I'd like to say a big shout out to Umizer. They're a Icelandic band who I'm very good friends with. Very good friends with all of them. They're very nice lads as well. Very up and coming. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm trying to shout out bands that need it. You know what I mean? Like bands that need a bit of a push.
Cancerous Room is one of them as well, They're from
Yeah,
Scotland.
is that Joe's band?
It is, yeah. Joe's
Yeah,
band, Joe Mortimer's band. So shout out to Joe.
Copra,
Paul
shout out
Cook's band
to
as
Joe.
well.
Coprocephalic, whatever it is. I can't pronounce that one, but
Something
it's
like
got
that,
Ben
yes.
Lewis in it, I think. Lewis in it, he's a cool dude. I don't like the music very much, but Chainsaw Castration are nice lads.
Yeah, definitely Chainsaw Castration. They're very nice
Shout out to
guys.
everyone from Manchester, Visions,
Vision of
Bleach,
Disfigurements.
all those bands.
They're very cool dudes as well.
Yeah. They probably all fucking hate us now. Now they think we're big boys, but
Hey, they're boys for a reason. Until they get called men, they're gonna have to work their ass off. You know?
Yeah, so shout out to the Manchester scene.
Yes.
Shout out to our boys in Discarnate, you fucking posh bastards.
Discarnate are fucking brutal, man. I love
them. Who else? I mean, I would say Crepitation, but they're all fucking wankers, aren't they? So.
Especially Mr. Butterbeans, Chris Butterworth. You know.
I love Butterworth. Butterworth is a bona fide legend of the game.
He is. He is.
Legend. Shout out to Cerebral Incubation. You can see in the background there. Good friends of mine as well. Andrew's a great friend of mine.
Andrew's fucking cool. I love Andrew. You know.
Yeah, Andrew's a great dude. Bloody Lorna Shaw. Very new, very cool friends of ours.
Yes.
Very nice guy.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Austin is really a sweet, really sweet, down to earth guy. Adam, or as I like to call him, Pussy Hands. He's a great dude as well. Andrew's cool. Fucking Will's great as well. All super nice lads going on a very nice trajectory. Shame about all the fucking drama, but you know they are a top quality professional band, and I'd love to do another tour with them. Can't wait.
I would definitely love to see. Yeah, sorry, I would love to see you guys with Lauren Shaw again. Obviously, not because I was in one of the shows, but it was just because not only I had not had the opportunity, but obviously the tour kind of stopped a little bit between, and you know, I definitely would have loved to see Lauren Shaw and Ingested play again. Maybe throw in a little bit of depends on.
I'd have Shadow of Intent. That's who I'd have. I think that'd be such a sick tour that at the moment people would really like to go to. Is probably us, Lorna Shaw and Shadow of Intent. Shout out to Shadow of Intent.
Yeah.
Ben's a sweetheart. Andrew, or as I like to call him, bass player. He's a fucking sweet dude as well.
Yeah.
And,
Signs of the Swarm.
Signs of the Swarm, all my boys. They're my boys.
Boys. Distant as well. They're fucking boys as well.
Awesome guys. Sick tunes. Alan is a cool dude.
Alan's very cool. He definitely did the artwork for you guys for his own project. So shout out to Alan for fucking awesome sketches.
He's a good artist, man. You should go to him if you need any.
Absolutely.
Cool sports aesthetic stuff. He's really good at that sort of stuff. So.
Absolutely. When I've got the money, I definitely want to.
About done on the shout outs, but you can take it back off me. I've been fucking like I said, talking on and on and on. Carry on.
I think I don't have much to say left. It's pretty much Cranium, Disgorge, Vomit the Soul, Archspire, Castrated, Wormhole, Corpse, maybe a bit of Gojira as well. Why not?
They don't need it. They're mega stars.
They may not need it, but I love the band, you know. And but hey, it's my podcast. You know, they deserve that.
Hey, I can't say anything. You do what you want, bro. It's your podcast.
Yeah, it's all good.
Hey,
though.
I'd love to talk with Gojira. Jesus Christ, that would be.
Hey, man. I mean, that would definitely be
a nice little summit. That.
Man, that would be fucking sick. So if anybody who's a fan of Gojira, go and tell Gojira, Ingested a Gojira tour in Europe or whatever. It
would be literally the heaviest matter in the universe.
I see what you did there, and that fucking would be nice, man. That would definitely be fucking fancy.
I think if anything was going to get Brad back, it'd probably be that. He'd shit his pants. He'd be like, "Oh, Gojira!"
Oh man.
Loved it.
But that would be one of the tour fantasies. So we can pretty much I can ask one more question before we finish. Tour fantasy, what would you guys would love to go and tour with, where?
Oh, I mean, is this going to be like high fantasy or realistic?
Let's go for highest fantasy ever, bro.
Can you revive people?
Yeah, go on. Why not?
Right. Pantera
Yes.
headlining. Slipknot. I mean, Slipknot would probably headline over Pantera nowadays.
Probably. Yeah.
Slipknot, Pantera, Hatebreed, Dying Fetus, Ingested. Now that would just be an insanely
That'd be cool.
colossal tour.
That would definitely be cool. It'd be like more punch in the face type of a show instead of face of
Behemoth,
death
I'd love
tour.
to go with Behemoth.
Bro.
I'm a big fan of Behemoth, so I would love to tour with them.
Yeah, absolutely. But that would definitely be sick. And this is probably going to be the end of the podcast. But first of all, I would love to say thank you very much to Sam, who has spent the time to have a chat with me. I much appreciate it, my dude.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it as well.
Hey, you're very welcome. I have definitely have enjoyed the podcast. I definitely don't know how long this has been, but it probably has been the longest podcast I've done so far. I can.
Oh yeah, I like to waffle on. Sorry, you'll have to actually edit this one.
Oh, there's no edited. I'm afraid it's all in one take, so this is all going to be just fine.
I'm glad I didn't say anything borderline offensive then.
Hey, fuck it, you know. But no, I definitely enjoyed the podcast session that we both just had. In going in depth with the ingested about this whole political situation and what could be done, especially mental health. People need to have a chat about mental health. I don't think that's been mentioned so much when it comes to sceneries and music sceneries, or maybe just the whole wide community scenery, you know?
Especially in the music scene, there's a lot of sad boys out there, I must admit. So if anybody in this who's listening happens to be listening, I don't want to sound fucking high or mighty or anything, but
go for it.
If anybody that I know personally that wants to is watching this podcast, or comes across it at a later date and is ever feeling like they need to talk to someone, I'm all ears for all of my friends and all of my acquaintances. So just drop me a message anytime that anybody wants to, and I will listen to you.
Absolutely. And you heard from the wise man, and he would definitely do it as he did it for me, and I vouch out for him, and especially would say definitely give Sam a message, or give anybody that you know a message or a phone call away. But yeah, it's been an absolute privilege, man.
You're very welcome.
I will definitely be enjoying the new Ingested whenever it comes out. I have got a podcast session with one of the other members in the upcoming year, but I can't say anything yet because it's too early to mention anything. But I would love to give us a interview session with Sean and Jason sometime soon, whenever they're more flexible. Obviously, Sean is definitely working from time to time, and he is obviously going to be busy with this whole pandemic going around. Jason is probably going to be a bit more flexible, but he's got kids and, he's got mouth to feed as well. And, that's more important as well.
He'd do it. They'll all do it eventually. I know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I want to make sure they are flexible. They are happy to do whenever they are feeling comfortable doing it, Yeah. That's the main thing I want to do, and just make sure I'm doing it for the right reasons and not being a complete dickhead, try to demand it,
don't think you're a dickhead. No one thinks you.
But I don't want to give the picture to anybody, but I can understand that. But yeah, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. No matter how long it's been, leave a like, leave any feedback of how you think about this podcast, or give me any criticism if you must. I don't mind. It takes a long way, but as a touring life or any band life advice, definitely don't read any comments if there's anything negative, or just, just don't come on here and just expect anything, as McGackie even mentioned, but yeah, leave it a subscription if you definitely have done that, and you're not a fan of my Facebook page. Leave a like on my Facebook page. It's called the Joshua Files. And yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Bye.